Hello and welcome back to Traffic Talks. This is the final installment of the mental health series that we're doing for the month of October. It has been a very long journey, but we've unfortunately reached the end. And for this topic, I would bring it back home to my own experiences with mental health. And a lot of us learn from others, and I thought maybe my experiences could maybe just make you aware of something in your own life, or maybe even just be like, it's not as uncommon as I maybe thought it was. That's what this one is about, and as per usual, the running theme is always to help one another. So I will be saying what I have done for my mental health. A disclaimer, this is my mental health and my situation and my journey. You may not agree with everything I say, but that's because it is my opinion and my experience that I am bringing forward. So just to get that out the way. As I'm sure you know by now, mental health is very important, hence this entire series, but it's mainly due to my own experience with it. In 2011, I was diagnosed with severe depression and had to be on medication for 6 months, which is the maximum amount of time a doctor can prescribe medication for. And I didn't agree with it, but I went along with it. Since then, I have stopped with medication and just been re-diagnosed with just plain depression, if I can put it that way. I went to therapy in university for about a year or two and then stopped because I was broke and unemployed and wasn't able to afford therapy at the time, so I stopped for a few years. And for the last 2 or 3 years, I have been in therapy, and I once again stopped because same problem, broke, unemployed. And then when I did finally get a job beginning of this year, the COVID thing hit, and I haven't been back since maybe last year, September sometime. So it's maybe been like a full year of me not going to therapy, which honestly hasn't been the end of the world. I think I maybe did go December last year, I can't even remember. But like I said, to me it wasn't the end of the world because I had healed a lot in terms of my mental health and well-being. So I haven't been back since, and I don't feel an urgent need to go back. However, I will probably make an appointment before the end of the year and just see how things go. But yeah, that was me and my therapy. I do tend to have a difficulty when things go south, but I tend to get back on track fairly quickly, especially when it comes to mental health things. Look back a few weeks ago where I had to take a break because of things that were happening in my life, and the fact that I just needed time to deal with those things, which I did. But I also have a few things that keep me mentally fit and healthy, just like you would, take care of what you eat and what you do in terms of exercise to be physically healthy, and what you do affects your mental health. There's always that weird triangle, like what you think is what you do is who you are kind of a thing. Same idea. So when it comes to me, I tend to do a lot of research and reading, but I take those things and usually experiment and figure out what works best for me through trial and error. One of the main ways I find information, especially when it comes to introspection, is from lists. So you get these introspective lists. You can find them fairly easily on places like Pinterest. Another good idea would be to Google introspection prompts, PDF, in the Google search bar, and there'll be downloadable versions for you to just download to any device and then pick it up later when you may be journaling. I like to do this when I'm journaling at night. I tend to just put one on my phone and just leave it there, or even have it printed out and then I can just tick one off the list. So there's lots of options for that. The beauty of this is, because it's you and your journey, you don't need to follow the prompts or the list to the T. You don't have to do everything it says, because it's for you and for no one else. And that's the fun part. Another thing is to kind of just be open-minded when it comes to these lists and ideas, because we are ever changing and evolving people. What we liked or thought years ago might not apply. It may not even apply a month ago. I used to think running was for people who are being chased by murderers. And then I ended up joining the long distance running team. I used to run around our university track. I still enjoy running at the gym track when I can. And it's something I still enjoy to this day. I used to think contorting yourself to try and look like a pretzel was stupid. And now yoga is an essential in my life. So what we used to do and think may not be the same as what we do now. And maybe we'll try it and still think the same way, but at least be like, I tried it, I didn't like it then, I tried it, I don't like it now, fine. Move on, find something else, but at least you will know. That's actually the fun bit of the whole trial and error part. When it comes to the trial and error, sometimes you maybe went too big or too small, like trying to put a plaster on a bullet wound. That's not gonna help. You need to kind of dig it out, sew it up, let it heal. And other times you maybe just completely underestimated it. So figuring out what works best for you in your context is gonna be essential to actually doing some good for yourself. So following generic advice can actually be the best answer for that, because people will be like, oh, try meditation, try yoga, try this, try that. Absolutely. Try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, great. But you're at least one step closer to finding out whether it's making you better or worse, instead of being like, maybe I should eventually try that and then just never doing it. Sticking with the theme of this entire series, routines and lists. For my mental health routine, I'm just going to mention the list of things I tend to do. First and foremost, I've mentioned this a million times, journaling. And this is something that I've been doing, whether consciously or unconsciously, my entire life. So when I was much younger, like a child, I used to have a diary. It was pink lined paper. It was small. It had this weird little lock on, but it's like those generic locks where it's like one key fits all kind of a thing. But I still remember it. I still have it. It was the dumbest things I could write, but it was there. As a teen, I journaled as well. I went crazy for a while with the tech and journaled online. And then now as an adult, I've kind of come full circle and I have this huge A4 sized diary that I write in. And this year's one, I think I've mentioned it, it's a pink one. So it's really awesome. I do have a app that tracks my mood and prompts me with just a random question of the day. And that's nice. It's called Mood Path, but they've kind of changed the name now. So it's got another name, but it's that one. And then I've got, I think it's Reflexio is the name. And that's one that kind of also tracks your mood slightly. It's got an online journal function and it gives you a daily question that just makes you think. And I like that. Like just the one that stuck out for me most this week was just 3 words. Save or spend. And I was like, that is such an interesting question to ask yourself. You know, what is your spending habits? What is your saving habits? Do you prefer to spend your money? Do you prefer to save your money? Like, what do you do? So that's a good one. And it's always nice to just journal out those kind of thoughts, because maybe you even come to a conclusion or a random thought about yourself that actually motivates something inside of you. That's first on the list. Next, yoga and meditation. This is sometimes something I do together. Sometimes I do it apart. Sometimes I'll do one and then the other different day. So it just depends on what goes on in my day, what happens. I know yesterday I did it in the morning, and then I think the night before I did like a sleep meditation the night before. So it's very random, but I try and get at least one in a day. For the sleep meditations, obviously that's done before bed. But for more inspirational ones, I tend to do that with a yoga session, especially afterwards once my mind is clear. And then sometimes even just in the morning, I'll do like a morning meditation to like set your mind for the day kind of a thing. And then for the yoga, I followed the Yoga with Adriene challenge, which is Yoga with Adriene is the YouTube channel name. So I did that. It was a 30-day yoga challenge and it was intense. I'm not gonna lie, but it was good. I will say it's really, really good. She's got a lot of alternatives for beginners. I wouldn't say I'm a beginner, but I was out of practice. So I did the beginner stuff and it was really, really good. And then I actually have a Fitbit, which I think I did mention, and their latest update came with a mindfulness tracker where they add meditations to it. and sleep sounds and all sorts of things that you can make sure to incorporate in your daily life. The yoga is tracked on the fitness as a workout session, and then the meditation is tracked as a mindfulness workout for the day. So that I thought was a really cool thing for them to do and to incorporate, especially because mindfulness and mental health has come into the spotlight since COVID. So I think that was really, really great. And then for finding meditations, you can look at Headspace or Calm. There's also an app called Better Mind, which has a lot of like meditations, sleep things, just all sorts of mind work that you might need done. And then you can customize it to suit you. I will say it is very limited unless you have a premium one, but the free one works just as well. If not, there's always an alternative. You can even look on, for example, this very site and search for free meditations or just mind meditations. There is a meditations mini podcast which I use, very, very nice, and you can download them for later so you won't have to constantly be using your data or be connected to Wi-Fi, so that's good. And then for actual yoga workouts, like I said, Yoga with Adriene is brilliant. Or if you just want normal fitness stuff, there's a lot of stuff available on YouTube. Who you find is up to you. Some people prefer Blogilates type workout, other people prefer weightlifting. So you find what suits you. I would recommend the Swirkit app. It's a brilliant one. I've used it for literal years. They have a workout of the day. They have got beginner workouts. They've got everything you may need at your fingertips for your device, whatever you do, you know. They even have like chill ones for people who have maybe been injured, people getting into it. For older people, younger people, there's a workout for you there. Trust me. And then obviously exercise, working out, the food part, eat healthy, and it will make you feel better. It's not gonna solve your problems. No, only you can do that. But what you eat is important. Make sure you're getting enough sleep and eating right, drinking your water, all sorts of stuff. Eat better, feel better. One thing I do know is that, especially when it comes to eating, I've cut down on my snacks, especially working from home. I have found much healthier alternatives. We have more fruit in the house that I've been buying, especially. I've been scheduling my meals better. As a family as a whole, we've been eating better because we actually have spinach growing in our yard. Like, we've been incorporating spinach into a lot more meals, thinking of ways to include other, vegetables and salads and things like that. Personally, I've cut down on my dairy a lot, and I actually use almond milk. My sister's actually half been converted to almond milk, so she uses it a lot, and that's also a good thing. So just cutting down on a lot of processed foods and a lot of takeaways and things has definitely helped. I won't say I'm perfect at it all the time, but a little bit here and there is how we've done things, and that's just how we do it. I would like to slow down towards the end of this podcast by saying this is my journey, and I'm not 100% on top of things all the time, but I'm working on it day by day, and I have seen results. Tracking your progress is something that you definitely should take note of. I'm not saying go crazy and do a graph and an Excel spreadsheet and compile a book. Make a note on your phone and just keep track of like random things, or have a notepad or something. As long as you know what it means and you can see a difference, you are good. You are fine. I know this might feel like an anticlimactic end to the series, but a lot of things actually tend to feel that way. We build it up into our heads to make it look like a mountain when it's actually just a molehill. Trying not to have this extremist mentality where it's like, oh no, may just help. Because sometimes getting through it, we look back and we like, I just went through that, and like it wasn't that bad looking back, like come on. And last but not least, one thing I try to actively talk about is the benefit of good health, but not the physical appearance of those benefits, if that does make any sense. Because a lot of the time people care about how things will make them look and not about if they're going about it in the healthy way, which is completely wrong. I mean, I remember growing up and seeing in the early 2000s, I don't know if anyone else remembers, that like skinny was like the in thing. And like the more skinnier you were, the better or more attractive it seems. And a lot of people suffered bulimia, anorexia, and all sorts of other things in extreme ways to try and look like that. And the devastation to their health was irreversible. So one thing I do not focus on is how you look but how you feel and what you can do. And that's something I also challenge myself to do. And I've actually expressed this to my mom just the other day. Like, I actually gained 2.5 Ks when I measured myself last, or rather when I weighed myself last. And I'm like, I dropped 6 Ks before that and I just gained 2.5 back. And I'm like, I don't care about the numbers on the scale, because as long as I'm feeling healthy, I'm eating healthy, I can do my yoga better than what I did, I'm good. That is me, and that is who I am, and that is what I want other people to see and to focus on. Not fitting into a certain mold, but breaking that mold and just doing you. Be healthy for being healthy. Don't be healthy to look a certain way to appease other people. Do it for yourself. Be selfish, because you are the only person who has to deal with yourself for the rest of your life. The crux of this entire series. You literally need to do you. You need to take care of yourself. You need to help yourself. And if you need help from others, as hard as it may seem, ask for that help, because you are worth it. Thank you for listening to me in this episode and for the other ramblings you've heard. I hope you take a lot away and that this has helped you in some form or another. Have a good day. Love you. Bye.